Today, we're talking about a pause on the planned trade tariffs with Mexico and Canada, Secretary of State Marco Rubio's trip to Panama and El Salvador, USAID headquarters closed while the White House reviews spending, and other top news for Wednesday, February 5th. Stay informed while remaining focused on Christ with the Pour-Over today. Here's the quote of the day. Contentment is the equilibrium between the enjoyment of life now and the anticipation of what is to come. Priscilla Shirer. Let's get started with some espresso shots. Some phone diplomacy put a North American trade war on hold. Uncle Sam's planned tariffs on Mexican and Canadian exports were paused Monday, along with Canada's retaliatory tariffs on U.S. exports, after the countries each struck border security deals with the White House. Both countries will deploy 10,000 illegal drug and immigration stopping personnel to their borders, with the U.S. agreeing to work with its southern neighbor to prevent high-powered weapons from entering Mexico. As part of their negotiations, Canada will implement their $1.3 billion border plan, appoint a fentanyl czar, and work with the U.S. to create a joint strike force to combat organized crime. Meanwhile, the planned 10% tariff on Chinese exports did kick in yesterday. In response, China announced its own measures, including levies of up to 15% on select U.S. exports starting next week. Governments have different things on their agenda than God's kingdom does. As global powers maneuver to have their way, God's agenda is clear and unchanging. Deuteronomy 10:12 and 13 says, "What does the Lord your God ask of you except to fear the Lord your God by walking in all his ways, to love him, and to worship the Lord your God with all your heart and all your soul? Keep the Lord's commandments and statutes I am giving you today, for your own good." Marco Rubio got his first passport stamps as Secretary of State this week. Sunday, Rubio visited Panama's President José Raúl Mulino, advising him to reduce the influence of control China has over the Panama Canal, which, per the Trump admin, may violate a 1999 treaty that handed control of the neutral waterway to Panama. Afterward, without mentioning the canal, Mulino announced Panama would end involvement in China's Belt and Road Initiative. Then, Monday, Rubio stopped by El Salvador to sign an agreement on U.S.-El Salvador nuclear energy cooperation. During the signing ceremony, President Nayib Bukele offered to outsource part of El Salvador's prison system to house illegal immigrants of any nationality facing U.S. deportation, and American criminals for a relatively low fee. Critics say the offer violates U.S. laws prohibiting citizens from being deported. Here's a verse to consider whether you have a world-altering work trip or spend your day folding laundry. Commit your activities to the Lord, and your plans will be established. Proverbs 16:3. The fate of the USAID is up in the AIR. Established during the Cold War to advance Western interests and streamline State Department-stalled foreign assistance, the U.S. Agency for International Development, USAID, administers $40 billion per year in humanitarian and security aid for 100-plus countries. Last week, Elon Musk championed deleting the agency, calling it beyond repair. On Monday, the White House announced the U.S. aid would go back under the State Department's umbrella while it reviews spending. USAID HQ doors were closed Monday and Tuesday. The move has faced backlash. Dependent organizations are expressing concern for impoverished global communities left in the lurch, while congressional Democrats say the White House can't unilaterally dismantle a Congress-authorized and funded agency. Secretary of State Rubio says U.S. aid spending in alignment with the national interest will continue, stressing that the agency isn't an independent global charity. Believers may disagree about how governments should spend taxpayer dollars, but commands for Christians' wallets are crystal clear. Prioritize heavenly treasure, generously help the needy, and run from greed. Are you rich toward God in your personal spending habits? Luke 12:31-34 says, But seek his kingdom, and these things will be provided to you. Don't be afraid, little flock, because your Father delights to give you the kingdom. Sell your possessions and give to the poor. Make money bags for yourselves that won't grow old, an inexhaustible treasure in heaven, where no thief comes near and no moth destroys. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also.
Hey, it's Emily from The Pour Over. Here's some girl math for you. If I get cash back on gas and use it for free, air quotes, coffee, it's like I never spent any money at all. That's why I love Upside. It's not a confusing point system. I can just transfer the cash straight into my account. Plus, I'm getting cash back for stuff I'm already doing, like filling up my gas tank and Friday pizza night with my family. It's super easy. Download the app, check the map for offers, claim one, pay like normal, and boom, cash back. Basically never spending any money at all, right? Download the free Upside app and use promo code TPO to get an extra 25 cents back for every gallon on your first tank of gas. That's an extra 25 cents back for every gallon on your first tank of gas using promo code TPO.
In other brews, here's a rapid round of updates. President Trump welcomed his first foreign leader since re-entering the White House, Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu. The president and the prime minister met to discuss how to bring peace to Israel's neighborhood and counter shared adversaries, focusing on Phase 2 on the ceasefire with Hamas, Iran's nuclear program, future arms shipments to Israel, and diplomacy with Saudi Arabia. On Monday, President Trump ordered the creation of a U.S. sovereign wealth fund, an account usually used to invest a government surplus, which could be used to buy TikTok. The order gives the Treasury and Commerce Departments 90 days to draft a plan and find funding, since the U.S. runs a deficit. The fund will likely need congressional approval. Sweden is mourning the worst mass shooting in its history, which officials say left around 10 people dead, including the shooter, at a center for adult education. Police believe the shooter acted alone, but cannot rule out others being involved. Shootings are rare but increasing in Sweden, which has seen an uptick in violent crime in recent years. The White House is cutting severance checks. Around 20,000 federal employees, 1% of the federal workforce, have reportedly already taken the Trump admin's buyout offer to avoid new in-office work requirements and government downsizing efforts, significantly fewer than the target of 5 to 10%. The offer, which expires tomorrow, continues to face concerns over its legality and whether employees will be paid in full. More than 300 earthquakes over 48 hours led thousands to evacuate Santorini, Greece. The volcanic Aegean Sea island, known for its blue-domed, whitewashed architecture, has been rattled repeatedly since Sunday, with tremors expected to continue for weeks. No major damage has been reported so far, but residents are leaving by ferry and emergency flights as a precaution. And that's all we have for today. Thanks so much for listening. If you're listening on the Apple Podcasts app, give us a 5-star rating and drop a review. If you're listening on Spotify, give us a follow and hit the notification bell to never miss a new episode. We appreciate your support and hope you have a great day. We'll see you on Friday.
Need a New Year's resolution reboot? The 1-Year Chronological Study Bible guides you from Genesis to Revelation with daily readings in the order the events happened. Notes, articles, and reflection questions help you dive deeper. Plus, readings are marked by days, making it easy to stay on track all year long. Learn more at the link in our show notes.